What's up, Smokey? How you doing?
Starving. Starving to death.
Hello, motherfucker.
Did you ever get a PS5 or are you still on PS4?
Stream dead tonight, huh? Why at? Damn, T West logged off, didn't he? Ran for the hills.
Yep.
One more day. One more night.
I'm on a journey to bring you back 8 gears. Will I make it?
I hope.
But yep, Kentucky officially has one less city in it now. Your thoughts?
It's great.
Did you see where Bruce Pritchard might be getting fired?
Uh-uh.
He's on temporary leave right now. There's some stuff on the ground for you. Oh, what the? Help.
Later.
What the? You end up getting that Jimmer shit back?
What? The what? You say? What? Why ain't my mic working? Hello. Hello? What'd you say?
Yes, I can hear you.
What'd you say?
I said, did you end up getting that membership back?
Not yet. I'm gonna try tomorrow. I gotta see how much I got left out of my check.
So we found out over you all to know about it, okay? So we found out over the weekend, thanks to Nancy Pelosi's interview with the New York Times on their podcast, The Daily, that the plan was to get Biden to, step down from the re-election bid. And then they were all planning an open primary. But Biden, 30 minutes after he dropped out of the race, decided to endorse Kamala Harris as a middle finger to the Democratic Party. The other thing to know about Joe Biden is that their internal polling before he dropped out of the race indicated that if he stayed in the race, Donald Trump was going to win even more electoral college votes than he won against Kamala Harris. But they didn't care. Okay, he remained in the race until it was, in my opinion, already incredibly late. And so he set up Kamala Harris for failure. He set up the Democratic Party for failure. But I also want to be clear that the Democratic Party specializes in failure. They're incompetent, they're pathetic, and they lied to the American people and thought that they would get away with it. The cover-up on Biden's mental decline was very much real. And the fact that the party overall felt the need to lie to the American people and their own base goes to show you how little respect they have for their own voters.
All right, last two things.
Right. Huh?
You all to know about it, okay?
Do what?
So we found out.
This man just said
Mm.
about Dark Biden.
Yep. So who do you think should be the press secretary now since he wants Vivek helping out Elon?
I heard it's gonna be that chick. This girl. That's a rumor.
Our defense budget is pretty gigantic. It's $1 trillion. but the interest.
We need Alex Jones as the press secretary.
Than the defense budget. Over
Oh my God, he would fucking
This is not sustainable.
destroy them fucking reporters.
So we have to do something about that, or the country's going to go bankrupt. So that's an essential thing too. Yeah. So that's why we need the Department of Government Efficiency. DOGE. That's on a brass plaque on a desk. It's going to be amazing. So, it's exactly as people were saying. It's just like it's common sense stuff, and America really just needs to remain the land of opportunity, the land where your success is a function of how hard you work and your talent. Like if you're talented and hardworking, that should be the only thing that determines whether you're successful. That's it. And America is also supposed to be the land of freedom. That means personal freedom. Like the government.
There's some stuff on the ground for you.
All these rules on people, and it's like, yeah. So government overreach is not cool. Freedom. Yeah, exactly. Twitter files. I mean, it was just nutty. People don't realize just how much government involvement there is in the media, and like how much the government influences the media. I mean, it's crazy how you'll see in fact, I think like whoever's manipulating the media should mix it up a bit because they're really not doing a great job.
Log in, King Money known immediately or be banned. Send the funds.
This is a Fox News alert. President-elect Donald Trump announcing that former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe will serve as his CIA director. Trump saying about Ratcliffe, quote, from exposing fake Russian collusion to be a Clinton campaign operation to catching the FBI's abuse of civil liberties at the FISA court, John Ratcliffe has always been a warrior for truth and honesty with the American public. So there.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
Oh, Mike Huckabee's a U.S. ambassador to Israel.
Joining us now is Patrick Bet-David, host of the Patrick Bet-David or PBD podcast. Big fan of Donald Trump, obviously comes from a different perspective than we do here at TYT. But Patrick, congratulations. I'm sure you're elated over last night's results.
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Well, I'll start off. Tell me what you think Donald Trump did this time around to attract Joining us now is Patrick Bet-David. Joining us now is Patrick Bet-David, host of the Patrick Bet-David or PBD podcast. Big fan of Donald Trump, obviously comes from a different perspective than we do here at TYT. But Patrick, congratulations. I'm sure you're elated over last night's results.
Yes, thanks for having me on.
Well, I'll start off. Tell me what you think Donald Trump did this time around to attract a higher percentage of American voters. I mean, he honestly blew Kamala Harris out. It was unexpected. But what do you think he did this time around that made all the difference?
Well, I will tell you, I think Kamala is the worst candidate the left has had in a while. I think if there was a primary, she wouldn't have beaten Josh Shapiro. She wouldn't have beaten Pritzker, Newsom, maybe Whitmer at best, because that's just not her. I don't see her as a one. I see Whitmer as a one more than I see her as a one. So it was a terrible candidate. On the area of Trump, if you think about 2020, there's an element. You know how you create content? Both of you would know this. You've been doing this for a long time at the highest level. I remember about 6 years ago, I pull in Mario and I'm like, Mario, watch the YouTube channel, the last 100 videos that we have. See how many of them have gone over 100,000 views. And we first listed out how many videos we have produced over 1 million views, 100 views. So we had a lot of them. And I said, but let's look at the last 100 videos. And we looked at it. Only 2 or 3 videos were of 100,000 views. He says, Pat, I cannot believe we're only at 2 or 3. I said, why do you think that is? And he's giving me his ideas, trying to be nice to me. Like, well, I just think it's this. I said, it's not the thumbnail. I said, it's not the title. I said, it's not any of that stuff. It's the fact that I don't look like I'm enjoying creating content. And the audience can tell. Whenever you're miserable like this and you're not happy about what you're doing and you're bitter and upset, the audience walks. They want to watch somebody that enjoys what they're doing. President Trump in 2020 didn't seem happy. He wasn't in flow state. In 2016, he was. In 2024, I will tell you one of the interesting things that happened with him in this 2024 election, and specifically the last 5 months. I can't even say last year. I can't even say 8 months ago. It's specifically the last 5 months. He looked like he started having fun. And when he's having fun, he's talking, he's doing his trolling, he's, getting under people's skin, he's doing his thing. He's being Trump. He wins. That wasn't the case in 2024. I can give you a lot of other things, but the X factor for me is he looked like he was having fun in 2024. He didn't look like he was having fun in 2020.
So, Patrick, there's folks on the left who think that people voted for Trump because, in my opinion, the hilarious lingo of some leftists, they centered their whiteness above anything else. So obviously, you guys disagree that it's about race, right, or gender. So, what would you say your audience would say was the number one reason that they don't like the Democrats, they don't trust the Democrats, and they prefer Trump?
Well, I mean, if you think about, for me, I'll speak for myself. I'm still a registered independent till today. It's been 15 years that I'm a registered independent. You can go online and find out what PBD is registered for. You'll see independent. And I voted Bill Clinton. And I think Bill Clinton was a good president. Just so you know, I thought when people talk about Bill Clinton, I thought he did a good job. I thought him being able to sit there and work with Newt Gingrich, making things work was exciting, was good. But at that time, I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. I'm 46 years old. Today, I got 4 kids. And I got to kind of sit there and think about who's better for my kids. I lived in California 24 years. I ran a business in California for 24 years. I left California because one day some local, tax assessor comes up and he says, "Hey, we heard your business has grown." I said, "Yes." "Well, you need to pay a local tax assessor tax of $69,000. I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Yeah, you need to pay." I said, "For what?" So, well, based on our estimation, this is how much you need to pay. Nothing audited, estimation. I go to the 7th floor, which was my accounting firm at the time. I said, what is this all about? He says, happens 1 out of 20 business owners, but if they come to you, you got to pay for it. I said, what are you talking about? $69,000. He says, yes. I said, what counties or cities in LA do I not have to pay a assessor tax? And I don't remember at that time, I thought he said Victorville, Burbank, Glendale, Santa Monica, a couple of these cities. I said, I'm going to move to Glendale. So I moved my headquarters to Glendale because I want to be in a place that I can reinvest that money into the business. Eventually, I left California because I didn't think California was a pro-business state. Hence, today, after COVID, 2 states in America lost $1 trillion of assets under management, New York and California. Bad policies push business owners like me, like Musk, like many others out. Now I go to Texas. I live in Texas for 5 years, Dallas, Texas, fell in love with Texas. But I wanted the best of both worlds. I wanted California and I wanted Texas. California and Texas had a baby. It's Florida. I moved to Florida. Being in Florida, I like DeSantis that he protects my kids. Even in Texas one night, when my first 2 kids are fully vaccinated, the 3rd kid, fewer, the 4th kid, we wanted the options on what to do and what not to do. You know, in Texas, there is no religious exemption. In Florida, there is. So for me at this phase of my life, when me and my wife are getting smarter, educated, we're making decisions on clear philosophies on how we want to raise our family, probably one of the main things that Trump appealed to family people like me, it sounded sane. Some of the stuff the left was saying made no sense to me. What are we talking about on what some of the messages that were given? I understand the pro-abortion, the pro-life debate, no problem. I actually understand that argument on how it can be made on both sides. I'm a Christian myself. My position is pretty clear where I'm going to be at, but I can fully understand that being a debate to be talking about. So, they went a little bit too much. By the way, Joe Biden was a moderate Democrat. I know a lot of people on the right are going to be upset with me. How could you say he was a moderate Democrat and all? He was a moderate, but he was forced to act like he was a progressive. But Kamala was a progressive, trying to act like she's a moderate, and she wasn't, and people just didn't believe her.
Yeah, I disagree with you a little bit on that last point. I don't think Kamala Harris really has a political identity. I think Kamala Harris will kind of change her political identity depending on what she thinks is beneficial for her in getting elected.
So look, I'm a populist, so I can't stand the donor class and the establishment, et cetera. I think the Democratic Party lost not because they used corporate robot A versus corporate robot B. I think that they all would have lost. I think DeSantis probably would have lost. I think that Trump has a gigantic advantage because he appears to be authentic. He appears to be populist. I've been on your show. You know that I don't think he actually is populist. So that brings us to the question, which is, look, there is a real rift in the Republican Party for the first time in my life. In the old days, it was always, no, Mitch McConnell and Dick Cheney and George Bush are wonderful people, and they're, God, it just, the donors need everything, and thank God Mitch McConnell got it to them, right? And now I know a lot of people hate Mitch McConnell, and they don't like the donor class. They become more populist. But I'm worried about their authenticity. I'm worried that if Trump starts to do all the things that are not at all populist, but the old Republican way of give everything to the corporations, give everything to the donors, that you guys aren't really going to object, and that your audience would be mad at you if you objected. And so I'm worried that there will not be any kind of populist, not only an uprising on the right, but even an objection on the right if Trump begins to betray his promises, does more war in the Middle East, et cetera.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. And by the way, you have to also realize, even on the right, after what happened with Hamas and Israel, the conservative had different factions that you would look at on the positions that they had. And the, military industrial complex community is like, hey, why are we trying to go to war? This John Bolton guy, all these, Liz Cheney is now this incredible woman that Whoopi Goldberg on The View. Oh my God, Liz, you're so amazing. Her father was like the ultimate military industrial complex. Now the left is kissing her ass. What the hell happened to the left? The one area with Trump that you got to give him credit for, he doesn't want war. And he said it and he did it while he was in. And I don't know if you guys saw what Dmitry Medvedev said a couple days ago when he came out and he said, if Trump even thinks about trying to prevent or get in the way of our war with us and Ukraine, there will be a JFK type style assassination. I'm sure you saw that And then he came out and he says Kamala Harris is dumb, is stupid, is uneducated, and controllable. I think these are some of the words that he used against them. So, of course, the position that he had for the first 4 years, doesn't want war. Is he going to go out and all of a sudden be pro-war? If he does that, Cenk, the base that supported him is going to be very, very loud and against it. It's just going to happen. Now, who he puts in as his chief of staff, is he going to bring somebody from the swamp? Who's he going to put around him as a team? I don't know. I mean, at this point of the game, the market votes you in. Then once they vote you in, then they hold you accountable for what you said you were going to do. That part, of course, we have to watch to see what's going to happen the next 12, 24, 36 months.
Patrick, I know you have limited time. Can I ask you one more question about the anti-war message from Trump? So I hear you that he, boasts about not starting any new wars. He did take some actions in his first term that could have very well driven the United States into a hot war with Iran, which I was concerned about at the time. To your credit, you're right. The America First crowd, part of his base that does not want to go to war, pushed back on the possibility of Trump conducting an airstrike in Iran, and he called that airstrike off. But I am worried because right now you have Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, elated that Trump got elected because he thinks that Trump will do his bidding and will essentially engage in war with Iran on behalf of Netanyahu, in addition to allowing the Israeli government to do whatever they want with the West Bank and other Palestinian territory. So what are your thoughts on Trump potentially pursuing war with Iran?
Yeah, so that's such a great question. So the other day I had Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi here, right? So when he's here, we're having a conversation together. One of the things I played the clip of me asking President Trump when he was on the podcast saying, hey, Iran, the last time you put sanctions, there was so much pressure that Iran almost fell, okay? Voter turnout, all this stuff was high. Right now, Iran has the lowest voter turnout it's ever had. Only 39% showed up. I said, would you be willing to do everything necessary to help Iran go back to what it once used to be in the 70s where the regime falls and it goes back to democracy? And he didn't even hesitate. He just stopped me right there and says, look, Pat, we don't even know how to regulate ourselves, let alone another country. It took him half a second to respond when he said that. I don't think he's on the same page with Bibi. I do think, there is camera talk that you do. And sometimes you're speaking on camera, but people don't know, but you're really talking to your husband, right? Sometimes you're talking to your wife. Sometimes you're talking, just like we may talk to our wife or anybody. Sometimes he uses the camera to talk to world leaders. He's done this many, many times, and he's very strategic with the way he did with Kissinger, when he brought Schumer in, when he brought Pelosi in. I'm going to shut down the government. I'll take the responsibility. He likes to use that, right? I think with the camera, he may be saying something with Bibi, but I think behind closed doors, I don't know if he's going to want that war to be there with him. I don't think that's a priority of this. Now, let's say the other part to be thinking about this. We already know on the first one, he did not create wars on the first one, right? Meaning the first 4 years. This is a second term. Sometimes when you run for office, my opinion, your first term, maybe if you said you're going to do 5 things, you only do 2 of them. And you don't do the other 3 with the hopes of getting reelected. Well, he didn't get reelected the first time, but now he's getting reelected for a second term, right? Is he going to go for everything? Because this is a legacy term. Is he going to be pushing the envelope hardcore? What is he going to be going for the next 4 years? Everybody wants something, Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, right? Everybody has something. What's going to be his? Is it going to be peace? Is it going to be economy? Is it going to be wall? Is it going to be getting rid of the ACA? What is it? Is it going to be exposing the DOJ, the CIA, doing the Twitter's file, FBI files? Is that what it's going to be? What is going to be his legacy? But if he all of a sudden goes pro-war on his second term, it's going to really hurt the fact that on the first term he was a non-war president. Everyone's going to forget about what happened on the first term, and everyone's going to say, oh, that was just one term. He really all along wanted war. I'm not convinced he's going to do that, and I hope Bibi and some others don't drag America into it, knowing his ability to negotiate offline and using camera and media. I think he's going to be my success rate. I would put him on this on what I think is going to happen. I think 70-30, Bibi's going to listen to him and not be as aggressive as he's been under Biden. Again, my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's going to be really interesting to see because either the right-wing base is correct about Trump or Benjamin Netanyahu is correct about Trump. But they can't both be right because Netanyahu definitely thinks that Trump's going to help him start the war in Iran. So now we're all waiting to see what happens. But Patrick Bet-David, thank you for joining us, brother. And let's keep the conversation going. I like that it's not the old days where all we do is yell at each other with talking points and stuff, and we're having real conversations and finding common ground and plenty of things we still disagree on. So thank you. We appreciate you joining us.
And say hi to Vinny for us.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us. Become a young Turk.
Oh my God. Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Charlie. And by the way, we can go to VT Merch to place the order. I'm coming to you first. It's the night. Everyone's doing the live. You call in. I say, Chris, where you at? I think it's over. Rasmussen, Mitchell calls in. I think it's over, right? The moment that you knew it was over, there's a clip of you, right? And if you want to play this clip, Rob, on what happened here. I see this clip. I loved it because it's so organic and you don't want to do it, but it's just happening and your team caught it. Rob, can you play this clip of Charlie reacting to the results?
Fox News decides Donald Trump is president of the United States. We've got our republic back, folks.
Let's go. There it is.
Everybody should remember this moment. Look, I'm gonna echo Charlie from earlier. Remember where you were when this happened. Remember where you were when you realized that the Uniparty and all of these, just the establishment, you said it's time to actually participate. And look what you guys have done.
And if anyone deserves to get tears in his eyes, it's Charlie. I think we all agree. I think Erica was chopping some onions or something in the break room. No one has worked harder than Charlie for this.
We gotta hear some words here from you, Charlie. You put all this together, my man. Let's hear it.
I am just humbled by God. It's all God. It's all God. God alone.
10 years.
God alone.
You can pause it, Rob. Charlie, what's going through your mind?
Yeah, well, from January 2021 to that moment, we dedicated our entire life to get Donald Trump back to the White House. I want people to remember the context of that. That was after January 6th. Donald Trump was basically in political exile, and we dug out of what would be the greatest political hole in modern American history. And especially this last year and a half, everything was just coming through me from not just how hard the president worked, but how hard we worked. I mean, we traveled the country nonstop, didn't see my family, did events in every corner. President was facing 700 years in federal prison. They tried to take his business empire away from him. And then, of course, he got shot and nearly shot again at the golf course. And there was this kind of feeling of like, is this possible? Are we going to do this? And, going into election night, we're almost built in with kind of this paranoia that there's no way this is actually going to materialize. And I believe it was a God thing. I believe that it's God shining his grace on this great country and is just overwhelmed in that moment. It still really hasn't set in, to be honest.
Charlie, to the average person that's watching this, we know some of the stories that have come out from the moment it was announced that he's won. What events have taken place the last few days? I'm talking Qatar, Hamas. What events have taken place just in the first week?
Well, it's incredible. And by the way, I've been at Mar-a-Lago helping with some of the transition stuff too, which I'm sure we'll get into. But I mean, just number one, a caravan has already broke itself up coming to on the U.S. southern border. Qatar has told Hamas, "You're no longer welcome in the as kind of a vacation spot for terrorist hotbed." The European Union has announced that they are now going to buy LNG, liquefied natural gas, from America, not from Russia any longer. We're also seeing an attempt, at least, of conversation to end the Russian-Ukrainian war. We've seen Bitcoin hit an all-time high at $87,000. The market has a huge surge, largely just based on the confidence. I think it's also hit an all-time high, largely based on Trump's victory. And this is all just not these things are signals based. They're effects based on signals of the president basically saying, I'm coming back and we're going to fix this thing, and we're not going to allow business as usual to continue.
So, Cuomo, for you, I mean, we've been talking for, a year, 2 years regularly. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Going in, at what point were you like, this is over, this guy's going to be winning?
Well, look, we had the benefit of Decision Desk HQ. That is a very formidable tool. The differentiator in the media was not the basis of information for making the call. I think it was about preference for some. Nobody's in a rush to call an election, Pat, because there's very little upside to being first. For instance, in the clip, Charlie's listening there, or the group is listening, and they say Fox News. We called it first. But he's listening to Fox, so when Fox says it, there's not a real big upside to being first. What's relevant to me, you just don't want to be wrong, okay? That's why, guys, when the momentum was hitting you during your event, which is amazing, by the way, and I love that it came off as successfully as it did. It was a really important thing. We need more of those. They said, slow down. But you're like, but how much of the vote is still out? Slow down. There's no reason for us to be wrong. So that's usually the guiding. That said, I believe outlets waited to call the race because they didn't want Trump to win. And News Nation didn't have a preference. So we just wanted it to be right. And I did have a special interest in it being over. I think a fair appraisal is I wasn't worried about what would happen if Trump won in terms of how the Democrats would react. I was worried about how Trump would react. I was worried that there were a lot of people who would say, but the polls were so close. And I'm sure that there's a chance that he would have said something provocative, and then who knows where we would have gone.
Did you expect it to be the landslide victory that?
No. And I love that now everybody's explaining why it happened, how it happened.
Right.
It's so easy after the fact. Look, the polls weren't wildly off. He just won by a small margin in a lot of areas, and she underperformed. The reason Trump won was because the Democrats, other than the themes and all the stuff that we can talk about, the ideas behind the motivation, the Democrats underperformed. Now, they'll argue with me. No, we didn't, because Trump may have won, but we won this Senate race and we won all this. Well, look, you lost the Senate, you lost the House, you lost the White House. That's underperforming, okay, any way you want to look at it. So I didn't know. I had said for months I believed it was Trump's race to lose. And I worded it that way on purpose because it was a grievance election. It's about how people felt about their pocketbooks and overlays of how they felt about cultural norms. So in that environment, it's harder for an incumbent. And she was a compromised incumbent. Now, I said it was his to lose, not Trump's going to win, not because I was sitting on the fence, because Trump is such a polarizing figure that he could have overwhelmed the momentum of the movement behind him. But he didn't. And he won. So I wasn't surprised.
I mean, for you, as a big Trump supporter yourself, were you happy with the results?
I was happy that there was a definitive, quick result. I am not a fan.
Would we be surprised?
Yeah.
If we knew who you voted for? Would we be surprised if we could see who you voted for?
I probably shouldn't tell you, but I can tell you who I voted for. You want to know?
Yeah.
I voted for my brother. I wrote him in.
Are you joking?
No.
100%.
100%. I'll show you the picture. Here. We'll verify it in real time.
Are you joking?
No. No, I'm not joking. He didn't win, by the way.
Did you really vote for?
I'll show you. I'll show you why.
Well, you know who your brother voted for. He showed it as well. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Can I show this?
Huh?
Can I show
No, because I think it might have been illegal that I took a picture. So let's just pretend it happened.
No, it never happened. I'm looking at his family picture. Beautiful dog. Your daughters look great, by the way, in that picture.
But look, I was...
Really?
What I was happy about was that it ended and that it was definitive.
But why didn't you vote for Kamala? Why didn't you vote for Kamala?
Listen,
your brother voted for Kamala.
He's a Democrat, so he does what he does. My feeling is this. America can do better than the...
Yeah. What did he say to you? You wasted your vote? Did he say something like that or no?
No, he just, was like, yeah. That's what he says about most
New
things.
York, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Was it kind of like that or?
Yeah, no, he just was like, yeah, he had other things he wanted to talk about. But look, the point for me is I'm not a Trump fan, okay? And I'm not a Democrat. I think this country can do better. I think that the movement behind Trump is very real. Yeah. It's been disrespected. And I think that's problematic for America. I just think we can do better. I mean, don't fault Charlie for campaigning and believing in Trump. I don't. I think it's very healthy for the democracy. I don't have problems with people who see him as a problem and wanted somebody else. I get it. To me, I just believe the choices are beneath the standard of American leadership. I think we have way better people to pick from.
Let me ask a question for Charlie, for you. You've been in this sport for a while, the sport of politics, and it is a sport. Let's face it; it's very competitive, and sometimes the way it competes, it's not a touchdown; it's events, right?
Sure.
How have you, for somebody that's been in this space, viewed the evolution? He may not say this, but from the viewer side, from Cuomo 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, today.
Well, I think it's awesome. I mean, I don't really care what Chris Cuomo's politics are. I think that it takes someone who loves truth to go to the DNC and remind the viewers that all those boxes up there are bought by corporate titans. I thought that was really good. And look, I think that I don't know Chris very well, but it seems as if Chris has a knack to actually do what journalists used to do, increasingly so. And I mean, you had this great video that someone sent me where you explained why Trump people were voting for Trump and they wanted to hire somebody for a dirty job. I'm paraphrasing, but I thought that was really smart. And look, I don't expect everyone in media to go vote for Donald Trump. I actually think it's awesome that you didn't vote for Kamala Harris, which is super refreshing because that's like the automatic entry point, right?
Yeah.
But look, I don't want to get into Chris Cuomo's career. There are some things during COVID I certainly didn't love, but that is what it is. However, Chris, I think it's great that you came out and you talked about the vaccine, that it didn't necessarily deliver on its promises. I thought that was terrific.
Well, it absolutely didn't.
But thank you for doing that, because so many people would hold back on that because they're afraid of being called all these terrible names.
Look, I get it, and I do believe that, there are some risks. One of the reasons I'm a big fan of Pat, I just love you as a guy. And to me, that's kind of the end of the analysis, because just everything else just doesn't matter as much. When you see someone, and Pat talks about this a lot, I haven't seen you with your wife, I haven't seen you with your kids, I haven't seen you with your people. But once I get a feel for you there, everything else is kind of secondary. It's like, well, yeah, it can be as weird as like Jets Patriots. Well, he grew up in a place where they were Jets fans, so he just likes to lose. Everything becomes secondary. And what my concern is for what we're doing is I don't believe there's any evolution in self any more than just natural. Now, I'm the ghost of Christmas future for you. You're in your early 30s. I'm in my early 50s. This is what happens to you. You just keep evolving and changing. My concern is that we've become so sensitive to the criticism and the gotchas. It's become such a commodity that what I love about what he's doing at Valuetainment is that there are a number of people who will tune in, Charlie Kirk, Chris Cuomo, thinking that like, I'm going to try to lift you over my head at some point, And I get that that's a commodity, but I also think it's really toxic to us, because every time they do a poll of real people, we know what they say. 7 out of 10 of them say they share common interests. Where's that? You don't make money off that on social media.
Doesn't sell.
But that's what we need to get back to. It's not fair. Like, there are people blowing me up right now. I guarantee it. My phone's probably getting hot. You normalize Charlie Kirk. You normalize Pat. Well, first of all, who's to say that they're not the normal ones and they're normalizing me, right? And what is wrong with sitting with people and talking about where you agree, where you disagree, and why?
By the way, this is the part. I don't know the folks at News Nation. You always speak very highly of them.
Yeah.
Camera on or off. The fact that you're talking vaccine, that is also part that he can do it while you're representing a News Nation. So kudos to them. Where maybe you couldn't do it being at a different outlet. Now, you may defend him now and say, yeah, I could still do it at CNN, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if during that time they would have let that,
News Nation is different. Okay, the guys who own it are much more transparent. It's a public company,
it's Daystar, right?
Yeah, and Nexstar.
Oh, that's right.
And they are much more transparent in terms of how they feel about things, but they do give me more leeway with the brand. See, the difference is it's not that, and you don't have to agree, but I was there. And it wasn't that CNN, it's like you had a meeting like this, they told me what to say. That's not what it was. But the brand was bigger than you.
It was more an email.
It was in the corner. it was the brand was bigger than you. So you had to respect the fact that you can't come on and say, hey, you know, I had a good time talking to Charlie Kirk. We don't agree about some stuff. I don't know why he says some things. He doesn't know what. And, you know, that's what it was. He's got cute kids. That would have been like, you know, you got to be careful because now you're speaking for all of CNN.
But look, I will tell you, I think the show that you did with News Nation with Dana, Cuban, all those guys, I think that was successful. I think
it was great.
Getting all those,
that was the model.
Yeah,
and you know, I
love that model.
I wanted you involved in that. I'm a big booster of yours because I believe that, and you know, it's not about what your political aspirations are and the stupid rule that you know you can't be president because you didn't live here. I mean, if there was one thing that I could change, you know, it might not matter to people, but it does to me. In a nation of immigrants, you know, you can't be one and be president. It's kind of weird, but. You have an organic following because of what you've achieved in your life. Then you have another level to your following because of what people resonate with in you as a person. Then comes your politics. That is what we need more of. I respect that this guy did it. Oh, I vibe with him, with how he is. Oh, and yeah, I think those ideas make sense. That's what we got to get back to. Now it's inverted. It's inverted.
Yeah, but the market is speaking. Thanksgiving's around the corner. Christmas is around the corner. There was a moment that Kamala was uncomfortable saying Merry Christmas. She wanted to say Happy Holidays. Rob, can you play this clip? Go ahead and play this clip for the audience. Go ahead.
And when we all sing happy tunes and sing Merry Christmas and wish each other Merry
It's going to destroy Iran. You're going to go fight the war. To war.
But there are some women, liberals, who are ticked. And it's interesting in the way that they are dealing with being ticked about the Great White Hope winning. And then they're mad at the men who voted for the Great White Hope. And as a result, they're like saying no more having babies, no more having sex with men. There are so many women in the world today. You don't need those little bald-headed women. It's like they think that their body is gold or something. Because how can they say, well, we're going to punish you with our body by withholding our bodies from you? There's something wrong with their mind, or men have displayed that how it's so important to them that the women are making it more important than what it is. NBC removed. We mentioned 4B last week, and I just wanted to give you a little bit more about that. NBC News. The 4B movement is trending on social media after Donald Trump won the presidential election, originated in South Korea. The feminist campaign includes no giving birth, dating, or having sex with men. Watch this from NBC.
President-elect Trump's victory already setting off a viral storm on social media.
Start by taking back your power. It's time for action.
Some concerned women now taking radical steps. You may have seen it. Talk of the 4B movement gaining steam.
4B movement. The 4B movement.
The 4B movement. So what is it? Actually, a fringe feminist campaign from South Korea. The 4Bs, Korean for 4 no's, no marrying men, no giving birth, no dating men and no sex with men.
There's so much pressure in South Korea for women to have kids, and women felt extremely undervalued. So they have sort of banded together to not kind of give into these societal pressures.
South Korea has the world's lowest fertility rate. Now, Google searches for 4B surging to record levels in the U.S. as one of its top trending searches in the last 48 hours.
I've been waiting for everybody else to catch up to speed for a while.
Alexa Vargas says she stopped dating men 2 years ago.
They like to keep us around for sexual pleasure, and they like to get married and have kids to have this family man sort of image. But really, a lot of men don't value us.
So I don't quite, it's so dumb. I don't even quite understand. These women are so lost and so stupid. I don't even know what to say about it. So I got to ask Hake. I don't understand it, Hake. I don't know. They think they're that important? I don't understand it.
What I get from that is that women are participating in their own self-destruction of our society. Because you know how America, we have very low birth rates in the more civilized area, especially educated, so-called, and South Korea too. They have very low birth rates, the world's lowest, according to that report.
I didn't know they allow people to protest in South Korea because aren't they communists?
Yeah, I wish. That's North Korea.
Oh,
they're like the soft, lame, liberal communists in South Korea.
Oh, okay.
And they have the tough dictator communists in North Korea, I guess.
But what type of stupid idea how come the women think, how come they think that their body parts are so important that's what they use as a protest?
And they're wasting their lives doing that.
I know. It's I don't even know how you come up with an idea like that.
Satan.
I don't, what is it? All the men got to say, okay, you don't want to make babies? Okay, bye. I go find another woman that wants. There are women that are willing to do it.
There's always going to be.
Yeah. Well, I don't know they won't, Nick.
The destruction of society. That's what they want.
And
because I didn't get my stuff.
It's funny because what she was describing was true. The men do use them and don't care about them and just have this. It's all ego.
Right.
But they don't realize that's them too.
Yeah, they don't care about the men either.
Right.
They just want to be worshipped by the men. It's not that they care about the men. They don't love the men. They don't care about them.
Yep.
They just want the men to worship them.
Talk about a twisted mind.
She's like, the men just want to be in a family to feel like a man that has a family. I'm like, so what does that make the woman she just wants to be the woman in the marriage.
Right.
Shame on her. Like, what? It reminds me also of how women, like, if the man cheats, it's usually a fault of his lack of self-control. But if the woman cheats, she wants to just destroy the man because it's to get back. So
that's true.
So in this case, whatever pain she got, she now is going to light Korea on fire, and now America.
So apparently, online, a couple guys made a couple comments about this dumb so-called 4B thing. This 4B thing is so stupid out, it's out of hell.
Yeah.
And the women that are doing it are stupid.
It's true.
Very lost women, females. Here's NBC. These two guys who are apparently commented on it on YouTube, I guess. Here's NBC.
Women are wanting to participate in this movement now because of the results of this election, because women don't feel safe in this country.
My life! Adding fuel to the fire, posts from Trump-supporting provocateurs with large male audiences, like white nationalist Nick Fuentes saying, "Your body, my choice, forever." And self-described misogynist influencer Andrew Tate, facing rape and sex trafficking charges in Romania, which he denies, responding to the 4B movement saying, now you don't even need abortions. Trump's Supreme Court picks helped overturn Roe v. Wade, unleashing a wave of protests nationwide. His position on abortion access has varied, but during the final stages of his campaign, saying states should decide.
Whether the women like it or not, I'm going to protect them.
As tensions build,
You guys think it's just internet trolls? This is a problem.
a battle bursting onto our feeds and into America's culture wars.
So education has done this to these women, huh?
Big time. The educated people, the educated whites and blacks are not having babies. And educated people in general have fewer babies already. And then they get in their minds about stuff that they think that they know.
Education has screwed up these women's mind. Isn't that something? The mind is a terrible thing to educate. That's what has happened. Their minds are screwed.
It's terrible.
Because the more education they get, the dumber they become.
And they're rejecting the guys who are like the best for them.
Yeah.
The least worst, put it that way.
So they're mad at Nick Fuente for saying,
your body, my choice, forever. Means, no, you don't get to abort the babies.
That's right.
We decide.
Yeah. Nick needs to run for politics.
Yeah.
He really does. Amazing. What you saying, Nick?
They almost make it.
Without this Nick, but this Nick should run too, but Nick Fuente.
Thanks. Thanks for the vote.
But this Nick to the anchor baby too.
I'm saying that they almost give it, it was like a troll almost, your body, our choice, but they almost prove it with the way they act.
They are proving it.
They're proving it's like, look at what they do with their choice.
I know, they prove that they're dumb and lost and have no sense.
But it's true what you say, it really is brainwashing. Like it's a major veil.
The education system has done this.
The mind.
A terrible thing to say.
You've got a big following, 30-odd million people on Instagram. But just to say, well, I read somewhere there were no rapes and abuse, would go against your own narrative. Would that be fair? Yahya Sinwar, you were lauding him as a hero.
Hamas is a resistance organization. Israel is a terrorist. Every single person that's been critical of Israel has either been killed or thrown out of power. And I don't think that that is a coincidence. I mean, as a veteran where I really have, huge problems with this.
What do you mean the Jews killed JFK?
Today, a lot of conspiracy theories have all.
What are you watching?
I believe that Jewish supremacy is the greatest threat to the world today.
It sounds to me, Dan, like you do actually hate Jewish people.
If you say anything about Jewish people, you get canceled.
I'm honestly gobsmacked.
I don't have a hatred for Jewish people.
You obviously do. I'm staggered about how brazen you've been. Makes Kanye look like a choir boy.
Yeah, I just don't really give a shit.
Henry VIII, Arthur at the Round Table, Elvis Presley. History and popular culture has given us many famous kings. None of them quite like Dan Bilzerian, known to millions of people as the king of Instagram. A superstar poker player, he racked up a vast following by documenting his unfettered hedonism, a lifestyle of beautiful women on beautiful yachts and beautiful places. Some say he was Andrew Tate before Andrew Tate, but Dan Bilzerian says that life is behind him now. The king is dead. He's back with a new outlook, a new agenda, and some very controversial opinions. So Dan Bilzerian, first of all, welcome to Uncensored. I kind of feel if I'd interviewed you 4 years ago, we'd have had a very different interview. You're at the height of your kind of hedonistic Instagram life. There were women everywhere, yachts everywhere, guns everywhere, drugs everywhere. It was a very different lifestyle to the one you have now. So my first question is, who is the new Dan Bilzerian and why have you given up the other guy?
Well, I think I took hedonism to the end of the earth, and I just realized that it didn't bring me happiness. So I started focusing on things that I like to do and did less of that.
I read that you were at your peak with the women, for example. If you only slept with 2 women a day, you thought that was a disappointing off day. And now you're down to just 1 woman. That's a pretty dramatic shift in your lifestyle, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, it was up to 9 at one day at one point, and it was just, it was a lot. I think a lot of that is probably fueled by insecurity from high school, not getting as many women as I wanted, and like I said, I just kind of took the pleasure seeking to the end of the earth, and with pleasure, I think it's kind of functions like a drug to where you need more to get the same feeling, and then eventually you have to do it to not feel like shit, and so, yeah, I just cut off the hedonism.
You even disappeared from Instagram for nearly a year. You only came back in May. Why did you do that? What was going on in your world in that period?
Well, I mean, I was writing a book. I think that was a big focus, and that took a lot of time. And then I was just pretty much over it. I looked at social media like a video game that I beat and that everybody else wanted to play, and I was just kind of tired of playing. And the only reason I really came back was because I felt like I had this big platform, and I really disagreed with what was going on in Israel, that we were funding this genocide, and so I felt like I had an obligation to use my platform to say what I thought was right.
I'm going to come to Israel because you've said a lot of controversial things about that war. But before we get there, I just want to explore a little bit more your decision to kind of renounce the king lifestyle. And I think I'm right in saying that you kind of worked out, you can have all the money in the world, but ultimately, if you don't work out what actually makes you happy, you're not going to be happy. Did you work out, other than not leading life to excess, did you work out the little things in life that actually made you happy?
Yeah, and I found that most of them didn't require that much money. Surfing, hanging out with my friends, working out.
Gives a fuck about Dan Bilzerian.
Everybody come see us on tour. We'll be in Columbus, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.
A little thing happened last Tuesday night. A little thing. By a little thing, I mean a big thing.
A little bit.
Big.
Yeah, guest host. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Eight 7753773. Let me go to Kelly out of Oregon. Kelly, thanks for holding. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Jesse, my question for you is a simple one, but important to me in order to listen to you further. Who is your highest power? Can you name him in name, please?
What? I don't understand the question.
I believe in Jesus Christ, and he is my Lord and Savior. I believe in the ransom that he died on the cross. That he died on the cross so that the whole world may be saved if they believe on him. So being that I was just on the phone with you, and I know it was just a little... I apologize for presenting myself in the improper way. But being that the last thing I heard on the phone with you was references to gold and everything when I had just asked you a question.
Have you checked out Gold Co yet?
Can you say the words, Jesse?
GOLDINFO. Gold
that Jesus
Coast.
Christ is your Savior. If you can't, I understand. But I need to hear those words from you.
You need to hear what words?
That Jesus Christ, from your lips, I need to hear the words that Jesus Christ is your Lord and Savior.
Do you smoke pot?
In order for me to hear you.
Do you smoke pot?
I need to hear the words from your
Kelly,
lips.
do you smoke pot?
I need to hear the words from you,
I'm going to ask you one more time. I'll let you go. Do you smoke pot?
I need to hear the words from you, Jesse.
Bye, Kelly.
Bye-bye.
Amazing. What's going on? It's Veterans Day.
Just shut up and step up.
Why you need to hear that? That don't even make sense. What the?
Fuck was that?
Hey, get over here to this basement, man. They got that electric furnace shit.
Get it.
I don't have nothing to get a tree down with. Oh, never mind. I found a hammer in a chest randomly. Oh, where's the TC at? Holy shit, there's a fucking box full of charcoal over here.